gave out a smooth app and, kind of make life better through preparation. And today we've got NAWRB superstars Laura Dietz on the call. We've got Nina, we've got Desiree. So I know we've got some amazing insights that are going to happen. And, when we talk about preparing, most people, kind of think, oh, savings, retirement, maybe insurance or like written plans. But I want to go deeper than that today. I want to, kind of widen the scope, so to speak, and consider all the areas of life so that we can be more balanced and, ready in these preparations. So in order to do that, I kind of wanted to share a basic wheel of a balanced life. I pasted that link to you guys in the Zoom chat. If one of you guys want to put it on the Facebook Live so the rest of our audience can take a look. It's something that you've all probably seen before, but it's something that we should all revisit kind of on a regular basis. We all talk about this balance and being out of sync and things like that. And I think that, preparation goes along with balance, because if we're not balanced, then we can't prepare. And so, taking a look at the wheel, we've got, of course, money and spirituality. We've got, let's see, social, love and family, and, all these different aspects that we're trying to prepare and make sure that we have plans and a good life. So I think a lot of us were kind of like caught off guard last year with our physical and our personal preparation, particularly when it relates to change, right, you guys? Because, we all prepare for the future that we expect. But what happens when the future is not what we expected? What happens when the wild card comes in and all of that? So, I figure it would be easiest for all of us to start off with our career. So, I'm going to leave that until the end, and we're going to get real with some of the upfront and, real talk about this whole thing. So I want to see if anybody just wants to talk about maybe a section of this wheel where your ducks were not in a row when COVID hit, and how you've changed up your plans and your preparation since. So do any of you ladies want to be the brave, vulnerable, courageous first one to start us off on that?
Sure, I can talk regarding health and fitness, and some changes that I made as of last year because of COVID. During the first half of the year, we were seeing so many people getting sick and so much news about pre-existing conditions and your immune system and the strength of your immune system. And so I started really reflecting on, okay, what am I doing, right? How am I feeding my body? How am I keeping my body strong? How am I helping my immune system? And so I started doing a lot of reading and started finding out some of the things that help your immune system stay strong, right? Such as sleeping at least 7 to 8 hours. You'd be surprised how many adults don't sleep 7 to 8 hours a day. Same thing as starting to take certain probiotics, and then getting into the details of prebiotics and probiotics, right? So I started looking into that. I actually went out and purchased something that analyzes my sleep, which is called the Aura Ring. It's this little thing here. It has sensors in it, and it tracks your REM, it tracks your deep sleep, your light sleep, and it helped me put my sleep in check, right? And realizing that I was not sleeping as well as I should, right? And how to work that out, right? Turn off the TV at a certain time, start reading a book, drink some tea that calms you down, reflect and think about your day. And so those were some changes that I feel did get me back into, when we're talking about the wheel of life, help me balance my health, right? And I would not have done that otherwise if it wasn't for what went on last year.
And so what I'm hearing is you're using those tools, and it's like, I love the sleep app, because then you basically kind of have an accountability partner in your new goals here. And then you can, like you said, okay, I only got 6 hours last night, so I can plan and prepare to get more the next night, and, just kind of help build up your immunity. So that's great, Nina. I love it. What about you, Laura?
Well, it's from being out and about, and all of a sudden you're home. COVID changed many, many things, running your business, your office from home, talking to the clients who are working from home and they don't have half the files. That was really hard. But how do I say, I'm more in tune to being home. I'm more relaxed. I love the Zoom meetings. I think I get more done. And just like you said, Nina, I went the probiotics and everything, like with my health and sleep, and realized that I was putting in more hours, but was I really doing quality time? And I wasn't. So I've regrouped that. And I don't think I'm going to go back to the full speed ahead 24/7 person that I was. I think I can get more done just, itemizing my priorities and being able to be family. The only bad thing I have to get a lock for the refrigerator because being at home, I want to eat. And so that's been my only drawback. But it's, I had COVID, was in the hospital. So it really makes you realize that even if you're very careful, you can get it. And when you recover, there's little things that come up that you really have to adjust life to. But being able to walk out of a hospital and go forward, I think that's a blessing for all of us. And I know many people in our industry now are really suffering. They're getting COVID. And I had a realtor ask me something yesterday it's kind of off the topic. She goes, Laura, do you think our real estate way we sell, homes and et cetera, will it ever be the same? And I don't think that it will. So that's just my thought.
It's interesting, and it's
Yeah.
that the path has changed now, and the trajectory has changed, and we're all trying to figure out how we can still achieve our greatest goals. And kind of, the cheese has been moved, right? According in the book.
Rambled.
And but I love it that you planned and prepared, even with the lock for your fridge. You're like, okay, this isn't working, so this is my plan, and I'm prepared to combat this from this way. And we all sometimes need a little bit of a creative solution to get to where we're going to. But it's, I think another thing that really stands out that you said is that you're doing less, but it's more. It's ending up being more. And I think that's really, that doesn't happen without preparation. Right. You have to sit back and think about, okay, how am I going to be able to only work 4 hours in the day and still get the work done of an 8-hour day and things like that. So I applaud you for that. And I think that a lot of the strong, wonderful women that I'm connected with, I'm hearing that common thread of, I'm not going to go back to, pedal to the metal, full steam ahead, because almost like they're feeling better with everything and balance and life and all of it on a slower pace. And I love that. I appreciate that. What about you, Desiree? Is there any areas of this wheel? I know you're very well balanced and you got it all together, my friend. But anything you would say stands out to you and something that you had to kind of like bring up to speed after everything that happened last year?
To be honest, is that one of the greatest things that I learned is that to take advantage of the pandemic. We all can sit there and say, from our health standpoint, from our, our ability to work out, or, what are we doing with our makeup? Are we getting dressed up? Are we not sitting around and moping around? Are we dealing with our clients and what's going down? I became which I'm already, part of the Seek ecosystem of, okay, let me call Desiree, let me see what I can do as a safety net to, to be a handler of, ping questions off of. How can I help mentally adjust and look at things and make them better? The thing that I found out for me is that we have a pandemic now and an opportunity to reevaluate not only our lives, but what's going to happen if our whole world changed, not only what we see, but what we don't see. Access to commodities, access to water. You hear here, we're in California, access to what's going on with the fires, what's going on to bigger things that are further out than we're thinking of immediate needs, right? So that became a real focal point for me to say, to Laura's point, don't go to the pedal. I am still, but in different ways. Is the pedal being, do I need to make sure that I'm here to help every single thing, every aspect, cross every T and dot every I? Or do I pick and choose what's the most important thing to me that I can help myself than to help others? Something that I failed to remember, that if I don't take care of my mental health, physical health, and financial health, then how can you be here to help others? And I think that's one of the greatest things that we have forgotten, that we put 150% out there to help others and service others in real estate, in access to capital and everything else. And so I realized that if I sacrifice myself, then that means my family, those who know me, I'm not here in that moment. And so if I add look at you, you're in a beautiful home, you're in Michigan. You weren't in home the most of the time during the pandemic, but you lived, you traveled, you absorbed. And that is something that we have to reassess. And one of the things that I can tell you, my husband found me onto something. I want to turn it on just like Nina did. I'd love to get more about the ring. Sleep is so powerful. You know, I thought I could live on 2 hours of sleep for the rest of my life, and that ain't happening. But there's a thing called L-thiamine, if you've never heard of L-thiamine. And thiamine is THEANINE. It is a green tea extract. And basically, I take it every night now because it's a way to settle the mind down so you don't go to bed thinking of 50,000 different things and how you can change the world. It allows your mind to rest, and then your body can rest. Because if your body wants to rest, but your mind won't, you become agitated. And that was the biggest thing for me. So if I have a day and I know it's stressful and I know it's going to be a very impacting day, I take one. It does not have any narcotics, no drugs, no nothing in it, but it's an actual green tea, just like regular green tea. It allows my mind to just settle. I make good decisions, not rash decisions. And I think to Laura's point, Nina's point, your point, you're able to get back into nature and you're able to settle down, because we have to be our best as mothers. We can't just be.
Absolutely. And it's I keep hearing sleep too, and how many people just realize that that is a real key to success. If you want to break it down, like if you don't sleep, then you can't think. And like you said, I think preparing is also something that does help you sleep well. Like when you're constantly in reactive mode instead of proactive mode, then you're, kind of like more on edge. And when you have that opportunity to just chill out, slow down, and then start the next day fresh with a good night's sleep, then that's when you can really take on the world, if you so choose that that's the day to take on the world, right? Yeah. And one of the other things that I want to bring up on this wheel is, the relationships. A lot of us weren't prepared for the level that relationships kind of change it to, and how we have to adjust this way that we are connecting with people to have better relationships with our spouses when we're with them more of the time, and our children when we're with them more of the time, and our aging parents when we can't see them and they're not always great with technology. So I'd love to hear what kind of preparations you guys have put in place in the future for, just having that more connected, better relationships. Nina, did you want to start?
Sure. So one of the things that my family and I did during the pandemic is we started having Facetime groups, right? And so we all decided that there was a certain day of the week that was going to work for everybody in a certain time. And mind you, we have family all over. Okay, we have West Coast time zone, we have East Coast time zone, we have Mountain time zone. And so we all came together on this chat and said, okay, this is the time where we're going to meet. And it was about an hour, and it was just, talking about what we were doing, how we were doing, and just sharing, kids, grandkids, nephews, everybody. And it was a wonderful thing because it helped us stay connected, even though we couldn't see each other, right? And it was a beautiful feeling of bonding and happiness, right? And just talking through the difficulties of being, on lockdown or not being able to see each other. And then when things opened up, we planned a family reunion. And so we usually do that once a year. And that, last year specifically, because it was such a difficult year for everybody, it was just an amazing reunion, full of love and fun and just, bonding.
That's so cool. Where did you guys have your reunion at? I'm curious.
We ended up going to a lake house in Michigan.
Oh, really? How neat.
Yeah. Yeah. If I had known, I would have called you.
Next time, right?
Next time I'm calling you.
Well, it's a beautiful state, right?
Yeah.
That's bringing that digital meeting together and making sure that you guys still saw each other's faces on FaceTime and things like that. Laura, has your family done anything similar, or what are you guys doing to kind of strengthen those relationships across the
Well, I'm
miles?
pretty lucky because my children and grandchildren are all pretty close to me. Maybe part of the family's in Ventura, Oxnard, and the other one's local. And we made a point of doing the FaceTime, but I also made a point of when I could go out to visit with each of the grandchildren, because they took it hard being isolated, not only from their friends, they can't do anything, but then also from the family, because being Italian, we always had a get together on Sunday for dinner or something, or swim in the pool. And that just didn't happen. And so they're not seeing their friends at school. They're not seeing their, parents hopefully are together, and parents are busy working, but they're not seeing the rest of the family. So try to do something special. But when the restaurants opened, we were there. We were right there at the beach and doing that. So it's really hard. I see a lot of the young people struggle. I see a lot of the elderly that don't have family just devastated by what this COVID did. And no one calls to check in on them. So I try to reach out to someone I know that doesn't have anyone to say, hey, how are you? Can we get together for tea or a chat or whatever? So, just trying to survive.
Yeah, well, and it's been different for a lot of people. What about you, Desiree? How are you strengthening the relationships and preparing for the next new normal with all of that and your, social, family, love, relationships?
I made a very serious pact that to most people would be their normal day of business, but I made a pact that when I get together with the family or do something, that my phone goes away. That was something I had never done before. I was on call 24/7. And, there comes a point to where you need to do that. So I made a point to where if the kids got together or came over or we did something, that I would not make a reason why I couldn't be there unless it was medical. It had to be that if I said I'm going to be there, I am there, but we scheduled it. And the courtesy was I made sure I gave them opportunity to have my schedule and vice versa. So we made sure that the respective time for all parties was there. And the next thing that I did is that I shared things that were simple. So what was beautiful to me might not be something to them, but we shared each other's, whether we didn't have everyone didn't have that moment of time to where they felt good or happy at the same time, let's say. So if you shared a funny joke, you shared a funny video, or you shared something that was a beauty to something, you became the inspiration of someone else's time on their time, not on your time. So, it's like one of the key things I made for 2021, my word was inspire. So if we can inspire a family, and last year was listen. So we had to listen to the issues because how it affected everyone was different. And so this year, for being inspiring, I felt that I had to grow as a person and meaning that of how can I help myself be better as a person and a human being to understand, because we don't know what life's going to bring us tomorrow. And we need to take advantage of that opportunity. So the adage of smell the roses, to be like Angie and travel, to be in life. Is that my life? No, but my life needs to be that I enjoy what I do, so that if I do have an issue, I know that I did what I wanted to do. And that is what's so important. So having common business interests, say, hey, this is an opportunity. What do you guys think about this? Instead of just sitting there, if we can't physically be together, how can we help each other pass time in a fun, interactive environment as if we are still in the same room?
Yeah, and still sharing, like you said, things that were special to you or meaningful to you, or something as simple as just sharing the schedule so that everybody could be on the same page. It's, figuring out how we can all just be better.
I like the dog sliding down the staircase on its stomach and falling at the bottom going, ah! Stupid, crazy things that make you laugh and not being so serious. Those are the things that I think we all need to take the moment to embrace and not be.
Yeah, I agree.
Angie, if I can say something with
Sure.
Desiree, we all want some of that energy, but she won't share any of that blood, is the fact that she can go through a house flood. She can go through anything. She's back on her feet. And one of our dear members, Erica, just got a major award. Do you know that Desiree was on the plane and she was there? And so I have to say, you're the most resilient woman I know. And I still want some of that blood, because I don't know how you do 100 things at once and talk 100 words at once.
Right. I agree, Desiree. And what Laura brings up is, I Googled, of course, in preparation for this, preparing for the future. And it was funny that the 5 things that Google said on preparing for the future, one of them was to be open to challenges. And Desiree, you are a perfect example of being open to challenges, and not just open to them, but taking them head on and finding a team to help you just tackle that beast and make sure that you get done what you want to get done. So let's talk about, some of these other things that Google said, because I thought it was kind of interesting. Like the one that I loved, and this was their first one, was, preparing for the future. They didn't put any of the things I rattled off at the beginning. They put be confident. So I thought that was really kind of a neat point, is because it doesn't matter what you've got to do to prepare for the future, whether that's, you're going off to do a mission trip or you're going off to start a new job, but that confidence is kind of like a central, super important part that I was, I wasn't even thinking about that, but I would love to hear from you guys what, how being confident has helped you to take a step in the right direction. Laura, I'm sure you've got a story for us on this.
Well, I don't lack in not being confident, I guess. Probably talk too much. It's just the fact you have to make yourself feel a little uncomfortable and put yourself out there. I know I've shared this so many times. When I became an auctioneer, it was not a woman's field at all. And when I went to the conference in New Orleans, tried to walk in the door, and the man said to me, "This is only for auctioneers. Wives and secretaries go to the aquarium." Well, I kept walking in, being Italian. We keep going. And he grabbed my arm. He said, "I told you, this is for licensed bonded auctioneers," and blah, blah, blah. And he was dumbfounded when I said, "I am a licensed auctioneer." And like I've said, Desiree laughs. He said the whole conference that we had, "We sell chickens, we sell pigs, blah, blah, blah." And that lady thinks she's going to make a living selling real estate. Well, you know what? Look at how the market changed. None of them are alive, but I belong to NAA, the National Association of Auctioneers. Majority of the members now are women, and they're doing it. And so, you know what? You have to have confidence in yourself. If you don't feel comfortable doing something, maybe there's a reason you shouldn't be doing it. And, that's just my take on it. You make yourself a little uncomfortable. Maybe you can learn from it and throw yourself all out there. I always say, if I don't know the answer, I'll make it up. Maybe that works.
Well, and that confidence that you had in yourself to do a job that was a quote unquote man's job, but look at how you helped to pave a path for all these other female auctioneers now. And now instead of being the minority, it's the majority. Yeah. And that's, that's so neat, Laura. I just love
Thanks.
that. What about you, Nina? Tell us about a time that your confidence has helped kind of prepare you for the future and having things go better your way.
Well, I got to tell you, I love that story, Laura. You just went in there confidently, you took over the industry. But I couldn't agree with you more. If you're going to do something, do it confidently and really test yourself and put yourself, become uncomfortable, right? And I think, I guess one story that I can share is, I've always been a bit of an introvert, and public speaking to me years ago was something that I was terrified for. And I decided, okay, well, if I'm going to get uncomfortable with being comfortable or comfortable without being comfortable, I need to start public speaking. And so I did. And I learned that I had to be confident, even though I was terrified when I got up on stage, right? Because people can see whether you're in fear or you're comfortable. And so it was challenging for me at first, but now I was able to get over that fear, and now I have so much fun doing it, right? And that confidence, and testing yourself and putting yourself out there, right, is something that had to do a lot with it.
Yeah, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's, public speaking I think it's like one of the top 3 fears.
It is
death. So that's
that, and death, and moving and divorce, those things.
Exactly. Like, think of how far that's taken you into the future. If you were still afraid to speak in front of a group or in front of, a meeting or something like that, how that would not have served your career and where you're at today. So that's really good. I found, for me, like, yoga actually helps me be kind of in that uncomfortable position, but start to get comfortable with it. And I'm constantly saying that I learn lessons on the mat and I take those off the mat into life. And it's like, okay, if you could hold warrior for that long this morning, Angie, then, you can hold this escrow together this afternoon. And it's, it's like you kind of, you challenge yourself, like Laura said, and you learn that you're much more powerful than you expected to be. Yeah, I love the stories. Desiree, what about you?
Well, love this. The yoga thing, when we get older, we got to keep moving, we got to keep expanding, we got to keep, the body lubed, right, of going with it. So my thing is that I'd love to have everyone, as this gets put all together, when you talk about on YouTube and every channel that gets played again and again on, is we cannot have, and you start off with fear and confidence. The idea is that no one would believe that I have a fear of talking to people ever since I was born. I could not handle talking to one-on-one. I can talk in front of 10,000 people and a little, butterflies, because if you don't, you're crazy, but little butterflies that get on the stage. Now I just roll and it goes, and whatever happens, it is what it is. But I still have a fear of talking to people one-on-one, because I look in their eyes and, oh my God, what are they thinking about me? What did I say? Oh my God, go crazy. But the reality is that we have to look at our opportunities. And I keep going back to this, is that our confidence level and ability to scale new job opportunities, and to have the opportunity to say, okay, maybe what I was doing before isn't perfect, or maybe it's not exactly what I want. But think about everyone now who's been laid off or doesn't have a career or doesn't want to go back to work. The number one thing that's happening is not the number of people who don't have a job. It's the number one thing is those who are quitting. because they don't want to go back to work, because they don't like the environment, they don't like what's going on. This is the time to scale who you are, to create your own lane, to create your own job and your own opportunity. I was just on Clubhouse last night, and a gentleman, 17 years old, just graduated from high school, going into college. He decided, why go to college if I'm going to do it remote? I don't get the school experience. So he created an app called Petco, and it's already up, running, and taking orders and doing exceptionally well, raising capital. And he would never have this opportunity. And it can be a multi-$100 million business because of the pandemic. So you need to create your own job opportunity. So if you're really good at real estate, you're really good at technology, you're really good at baking, you now have laws here that you can create your own food in your own home and bypass all those other rules and regulations to sell it. So whether their mother's recipe is or your recipe, I'm selling plants out of my yard because I have so many, because they're just growing up free. So why not? So create an opportunity of what pain point you have to make it new, and you can succeed. So that opportunity of why me should be why not me, to make a difference. And if we all can have that mental mindset, we'll be better. Now, we still need our tribe. And that's why, to end with this, guess what? You just called us out, spokeswomen. We are spokeswomen because of that fear of not getting up and talking about it, coming out of our comfortable zone. And that's why a spokeswoman is to get practice, to make it better, so we can have that conversation and that uncomfortableness of having, oh, I should have, I could have, I would have, and how come I didn't ask?
And, you know, I love it that you bring up about just the creative ways that people are preparing for the future now. And it makes me kind of think about, what are some of the ways that we're pre-programmed and some of the old programming that we need to get rid of right now when it comes to preparing for the future, and so that we can, like you said, design your own lane, design your own story, design your own career. What do you ladies think needs to kind of go, that might be one of our traditions or standards right now when it comes to planning and preparing for our futures?
Good. You're Laura.
How's that?
That's better.
I'm seeing so many new people enter our business, not only asset managers, but different real estate agents. And in preparing, I think we need to be a resource. I think we need to expand and try to help other people understand what the business was like, because let's face it, after COVID, it's never going to be the same. And how do you go forward? And I think we all have the experience and the knowledge for so many years that we've been doing this, that we need to share that. And maybe from someone new in the business, they have great new fresh eyes. We can learn a lot ourselves. And so that's my go-to.
Yeah, and, you know, being that resource and constantly being educated and trying to learn what's new in your industry and in your passion areas and things like that are really going to help you get ahead, because it's, you know, it's a whole new world out there now, and we get to define it. And I think that's really exciting for some people, and for other people it's completely terrifying. And that's, you know, hopefully we can inspire some of the people who might be terrified by, you know, there isn't necessarily all of these definitions that you have to follow and do to get things right. And you can kind of make your own. And we'll bring them on to the NAWRB team to be a spokeswoman with us, right? Nina, is there anything out there that you see? I know you work a lot with education and things like that. Is there anything that you see that you think we need to let go of, that should be no more worried about that? Now we need to be on to this new rung of the ladder.
So I mean, from where I stand, I'm constantly looking at different business models for potential partnerships to help our agents and our brokers be productive, become more competitive against, everybody, every other company, grow greater income. And so for me, it's just a constant education of trends that are happening. And every year there's always a new trend, right? 2020, it was the trend of, okay, we're no longer working from the office, we're working at home, right? And so you saw that trend, and you saw an increase of certain services because of that trend, right? So in 2019, I thought iBuying was going to be big in 2020. Because of what happened with COVID, it didn't happen, right? Instead, it was work from home. You had Zoom, you had 360-degree, video tours. And so I feel like things are constantly changing. Our industry is constantly being affected by technology. And so in order for you to prepare for the future and stay ahead and continue to be competitive, it's very important for you to stay educated about how the world is changing, specifically how your industry is changing, right?
Exactly. And I think it's a good point of even bringing up one of the things that we're letting go slow but sure is the working from the office. And a lot of people are now, you don't have to prepare to have your cubicle or your big office anymore. Like now you have to prepare to have, the best Zoom account or the best, audio equipment or video equipment or things like that. And it's kind of interesting to see where that's going and all the changes that are coming along with that.
And the people that were already ahead of the curve were able to monetize.
Yeah.
Right. The people that were behind the curve suffered because of that. Right. Which is why, it's important, like you said, how do we grow? Right. How do we prepare? And so I feel that a lot of it has to do with just constantly being a student of life. Yeah. And a student of whatever industry you're in.
Absolutely.
Well, you brought up a great point. I like to use dial pad, truth be told, versus in Zoom, but that's neither here nor there as far as a competitor. Full disclosure, I am stockholder in it, but an account executive in it. So hey, hit me up. But no, the thing that you both said, all three of you said, is what education. If you think about what happened 5 years ago to NDILC, is we were invited to the White House for the very first summit on education for the advanced education levels. And that core had 47 deans around the United States that attended. And what is our education system like in 1960? So one of the myths that I think that are very powerful is we need to go back to school, or we need to go to school to learn on how to facilitate to move forward. Well, if the school system was created on something that was 60 plus years ago and has not been changed or updated to the fundamentals of what's going on today, then the cost parameters and the time commitment to go back to school, what about doing something that is important to you, or understanding that you can excel in something that is what's going to benefit you as you move forward, right? And with technology, with the opportunity to have learning opportunities, we don't need to go to a full education system backwards, especially if it's going to put us behind heavily financially, and if it's geared off the old system and not the new system. Because in our lifetime, in the last 6 months or last 2 years, it's changed so radically that, what's going on is so quick to fundamentally happen. So I want to make sure that as an educational standpoint, if you don't know how to do something, ask, Google it, YouTube it, ask someone in your tribe, be part of your network, and say, hey, it's not beneath me to ask, how do I do something? Because I'm running into too many people that we're hiring here at NRB. We're hiring 5 positions. And I finally got 60 resumes that are actually pretty decent finally, because of the dichotomy of everything changing. But the reality was this, is that if you got a BS degree in business economics and all you know how to do is higher algebra equation solving, what good is that in the fundamentals of even running a business, starting a business, or going out into the economic world and getting a job. And when you have that kind of feedback in several countries, not only the United States, we have a fundamental problem. And that's where I say, curate your lane. If you want to do something, figure out how to do it at the quickest, easiest, but most thorough way you can without thinking school is your only answer, because you'll be able to excel faster.
I think that's a really big point, is just, the technology progresses so fast that the minute that the book is written, it's already outdated. And we are teaching off of these books that are 20, 30, 40 years old sometimes in the school systems. And it's, it's not the way that is going to empower us to be our best selves in the future. And I'm glad that you brought that up, Desiree. It's a really good point. I love the School of YouTube. I will say I'm on it regularly. I think in my LaTip group this morning, they were saying that like there's 1 billion hours of YouTube watched every single day. And yeah, I'm definitely a part of that. Like always trying to learn a little bit more and, add the value, like Laura said too, because that's a huge part of it. Another part of kind of preparing for the future is knowing that we can't be everything to everyone. And that involves kind of being a better team player and being a better business associate or partner, things like that. And I wanted to kind of see if anybody had any insights on ways that they prepare, plan, educate, whatever it might be that you do to kind of ramp up your ability to be a team player and, be more dynamic, not pigeonhole yourself, so to speak.
I'll jump in this one first. Clubhouse. I'll say it in one word. The reason I say that, it is the only, and I'm not a fan of social media, but it is what it is. It is the one app that you have to be courteous, you have to be live, and it's immediate. So one thing I don't like about digital interface, other than one, and another plug for Dialpad, is the delay reaction of speaking. So as I speak, there's a 10-second delay by the time you hear it and vice versa. So the comment of being not in the room at the moment. So with Clubhouse, you have a live, interactive, immediate response, and people have to have the opportunity or the thought to say, is it the perfect time to jump in and do a collaborative conversation and support of each other? But also you get different perspectives. So you know how we always talk about getting at the table to have more diversity at the table, have more opportunity of thought. Well, imagine having in the room 50 to 500 to 5,000 people in a room to have a collective conversation and to open up our mind and ears to have that conversation. So to me, you have teamwork because you're allowing other people to speak. When is it appropriate for not? And you can listen and see an eyewitness in the action of, remember how you did school plays to figure out what was, to enact the part, right? To see if you could do role playing. This is real life, real happening, and you're not being judged, but you get to evaluate other people. So to me, it is the greatest app for me personally to speak, to collaborate, and to know what breaking news is before it happens, because you got people all over the world who are experts in their field that are actually developing the software, developing the thing, or understanding because they dedicated their life to it. And I'm just like, wow. And that to me is huge.
And you're finding that passion in that room of everybody that has the same passion, and they're all masterminding together about, getting things out there, improving things. It's really great. How can people find you on Desiree or on Clubhouse, Desiree?
So it's an open app now. It finally went public, so you no longer have to have an invite. So if you go on Clubhouse, everyone, you get one account, one phone number. It's totally free. It's on Android and Apple, where it was only on Apple. And the idea is that I'm on there every Monday at 5 p.m. for working with family offices, and I run several other clubs. I'm a moderator in several other groups. But the idea is that it doesn't matter what vertical, whether you have 12 astronauts on the on a session at one time, if you're into psychedelics, you're into, creating real estate, you're into, Hong Kong, into whatever. There's obviously groups that I don't go because they're not my cup of tea and they get a little dicey in personalities and things that don't attract me. But the idea is that you find your unique tribe, go into other areas. So everyone, I so much encourage you to not only follow myself and the clubs that we're part of, but to go places you've never would go before. I spent a decade spending a ton of money going to the best technology conferences, the best, highest level of all things that I knew nothing about, so I could become very smart and very educated in that expert field of that space. From the experts learn, not that I'm the expert, but I could hold a conversation very well. And now I have the opportunity to just hit a button, go. And the second thing I'd like to leave with it is if I have a weak moment or I need someone just to have coffee with or vet, and I can't call Angie up and say, hey, Angie, let's go out for coffee. You're in Michigan. Like, really? And I want to have that dialogue without someone being judgmental, because we are different industries or different verticals or different whatever. It is incredible. And I've talked 5 hours on once, many nights, and lost complete time of it because I cleanse the mind to heal the body to go. So I just want to put that out there. I don't know better I could say on that, but it's truly the magic of having live dialogue.
It sounds like Clubhouse is the new convention, and you can kind of just go convene with all these people without having to pay for the plane ticket and wear the mask and, all of those other things. And you can kind of just find your tribe. So I love that. And I love that you're already doing like the whole team player thing on there too, with just all the experts that you bring in with family office. And look at all the value that you bring to us there, teaching us about how to better, manage money and, new opportunities, different opportunities that people wouldn't even hear about. So I think that's really cool. And then what about you, Nina? How are you preparing for the future as a team player?
So for me, I've always been very type A. And so for me, I tend to take everything on. And I have to say that I had to work on that, right? Because of, I'm like, okay, let's go 100 miles an hour, right? And now I'm kind of like, okay, is this my strength, right? Recognizing your strengths and your weaknesses, and then recognizing the strength in your team, right? And then delegating, right, the activities so that you're not overwhelming yourself is not something I knew in my 20s. Okay. So I have to say it's
me on the shoulder.
And saying no more than saying yes. Yeah. That's the other thing that I'm kind of like, okay, I say no a lot more now than I ever have. And if that you're not okay with that, then I'm sorry, right? There's only 24 hours in a day, and there's going to be in the wheel of life, right? I want to spend some of it in health and fitness, some of it with my career, some of it with my friends, personal growth, right? So I feel like all of those things you have to take into account, right? And build a good team on a career level, but also build a good village from a personal level, right? When you have kids, you need a village to raise these kids. And so that's the other thing, right? So with my son, I've been able to, and it was something that I didn't start with, but it was something that I had to build, right? In order to have that balance when it came to my family and my friends.
Well, and if you think about all the things that you say yes to, every time you say yes, that makes you a little bit thinner on what you can give to the next thing. So it is,
right.
It truly is to be a team player, to know right off the get-go that you're not going to be able to be a part of this team and say no, so that they can have somebody in there that can fill what they're looking for. And like you said, you can fill up all the different areas of your wheel instead of just being like the shining star on the team that everybody says thank you to, but is losing sleep, is not financially or spiritually like all correct and all of that, you
Just
know.
frazzled all the time.
Exactly. That's like, yeah, reminded of my
Look at
20s.
look at Simone Biles. She dropped out after she did her first routine. And if you look at her numbers, and this is the biggest thing that people forget, had she not dropped out, the team would have never medaled. So the point is that you have to realize you might be the star, but is it better for the team? And that's what a team player is to understand when it's best. And so Nina, you are the mother, you are running a huge company. You've scaled so quickly, so fast, and to understand the fundamental, what's better for the team versus then, and that's to have your core essence together to making sure that the products and services that you give for Berkshire Hathaway are the best or home services of America. It is a reality. And people have to understand you're doing it for the right reasons, not because it's there. And that's huge.
Absolutely. Laura, what about you? I know you're a part of so many teams out there.
Well, I have to say Nina and I are sisters of the hood because I have a hard time saying no. And I've really learned during COVID to say no. And also that I need to delegate. I'm not all that. And party of one. And so I'm really working on that. And like with Desiree, I went out of my comfort zone and I went on Clubhouse and I went, wow, this is so over my head. But I enjoyed it, and I'll be back next Monday listening again. It was really, it's something that I never thought about doing or listening to, but because Desiree kept saying, Laura, you need to do it, I did it, and I tried. And the other thing I'm trying really hard, the biggest complaint I hear from many, many agents is, what, they have a phone number on their business card, but they're not answering their phone. And so if you don't want to answer your phone, don't put your number on your business card, because that's discourteous in our business. And, if you don't want to work with an agent, go in another business. But we have to be team players. And we didn't all wake up this morning and say, hey, we're the best we are in our business. Someone helped us. And I think we need to remember that. So that's my trying not to be the type A personality. I'm really going to work on it,
That's true. I love it. And, that kind of leads me to the last point is, how can we, not just for ourselves or our careers or our families, how can we help the next generation prepare for the future and equip them with the right tools and information so that they are not spinning their wheels the way that we are, or saying yes to everything the way that we did. What do you think that we could do? And I'd like to start with you, Laura, if you don't mind.
Great. I think we need to be more visual. I think if we see someone struggling, we need to offer to help them. If you have a listing and you're getting 37 offers and you have a new agent and they don't know what the procedure is, especially on a government sale, I think you need to take yourself out of the equation and really help that agent. And I think going around speaking, having different trainings, like I belong to, like you said, many organizations, but like Women Council of Realtors or whatever, talking about how we can make a difference, how we can help that other generation. Be the resource, be the mentor. We don't all have time for it, but the greatest satisfaction is to be able to help someone. We have a lot of short sales right now, and a lot of people are missing the fact that this is someone's home. It's not a personal thing. It's something that happened. Why can't you help them find a rental? And when that manager calls and says, tell me about this person. Okay, it was a situation with the short sale. They left the house immaculate. They were great to deal with. That's going to help them go on. And the best compliment they can give you, they come back and say, now I'm in a different place. I want to buy a home. And they come to you. So I think you have to really think about the situation, how you can help, because we have tremendous resources. We can be that resource.
Yeah. Yeah. Desiree, what's your take on preparing the next generation and helping them?
To ask questions, don't rely on your phone to be everything and anything, and most importantly, to be communicative in a human level. I think the greatest thing that we can teach our next gen is to make sure that they understand that human compassion, human thought, in human interaction can never be replaced by texting and digitalizing things. Because if we don't have human interaction, we as a society will lose the most incredible gift is sensory of our bodies, our mind, and our soul. Because if you don't see, feel, and observe what that element of joy and get it from a digitalization moment, we as a society of a human race, I think, will lose a lot of our creativity and our DNA because it'll be curated by others.
It's a really good point. You know, we got to stay human. Although we want to move forward in the future, like we've got to keep that human element and that touch and that, you know, just not putting everything behind a screen or a box or something like that.
It's a tool. It's a tool, and it has to be used as, you know, if you have contaminated food, we blockchain it, we track it, we help it. You know, it's a way of communication because we physically can't get an airplane and see you. It's a way of, you know, quicker response to something. But if you replace it with just constantly texting and emailing, and you don't have that voice, our children don't know how to pick up a phone and call someone. They don't know how to have that conversation. And that is not taught in school. And if we don't do that, we're going to lose that, hey, I'm talking to you, not that they're doing 15 other projects. And we as the provider have to be, no, let me finish this text versus then I'm in the moment to talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Nina, what about you? You're preparing another generation as a mom and helping all these agents in Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. What do you think you can put out there that's going to really help the next generation when it comes to preparing?
Well, I think that, Laura, you know, you hit on such an important topic, right, of helping each other, right, and being kind to each other. And Desiree, another important point of, you know, communicating and that human touch, right? And I couldn't agree more with both of you. I feel like you've covered a lot, but I think as a mother, I'm trying to raise a good human being, and that takes a lot of energy, a lot of self-awareness of myself, and you know, constant revisiting. Okay, how am I doing this? How am I doing that? How else can I balance him, right? From a professional standpoint, it's just empowering our brokers and our agents, right, with the right tools and the right partnerships. And I'm also looking at environmental, you know, how can I help our environment, and how can I prepare for what's going to happen to us in, you know, 20, 30 years, right? So I'm actually looking at buying an electric car. I'm leaning towards a Tesla, but I'm also looking at other types of cars. So that's one way that I'm helping the environment. And then, you know, teaching my son to recycle and talking about recycling and sustainability. This project I'm working on, the Arc Up, is also another project that's really, it's a green friendly, self-sustainable project. So working on those things as well, from a professional and personal standpoint, are important to me.
I love it that you talked about empowering in the environment, because those are huge factors that if we don't, you know, focus on those, then it's not going to be as a great of a world out there. And one of my biggest passions is empowering people through home ownership. And that's what I think I'm going to put out into the next generation there. Although I don't have my own children, I still can inspire people to live a better life and empower them to purchase property and use that as a backbone to do whatever it is that they're passionate about in life. So I applaud all of you ladies for everything that you're doing, for planning and preparing, not only for yourselves, your families, and all the future. And yeah, we'll wrap this up at our 5 o'clock. Desiree, do you have anything you want to say?
Yes, thank you very much, Angie, for hosting us and traveling the world. And we have the West Coast beat the East Coast 3-1, but actually Angie's kind of half out, so we'll be 50-50. So we'll call it even. Anyway, so thank you very much. So this is the entire month. Anyone that you know is preparing for the future, I just posted actually the ARC on Facebook, and I also posted the stuff that we're doing for NDILC. So anyone that's watching on as you go through, and this has been replayed for the next month, make sure you post your stuff into NDILC's platform, that what you're doing to prepare for the future, and with the hashtags NDILC prepare for the future. So next month is lead by example. Inclusion isn't enough. Press for parity and strive for excellence in everything. If you think about that, that is really a continuation of the conversation we're just having here. Those are actually going to be on September 2nd. And also it's going to be on that starts off with the NDILC Leadership Council. And then September 9th is our day that the delegates will come back. And so the opportunity is, if you know someone who would love to be as a woman spokeswoman for NDILC and in the verticals that we have out here, I champion you to reach out to bring them on board, any product or services that you have. And then next week I fly out to, this is a real estate side, obviously. I fly out to Dallas on Monday through Thursday, and that is for the iOS Summit. I sit on the Second Century Ventures for all prop tech for the global services to see all the pitches and what we can do to better and make an impact for all types of verticals in real estate, and how technology is advancing in where we live, how we live, and why we live. So thank you all. Most importantly, be safe and stay healthy. And thank you all for being part of this. Great. I appreciated everything. All right. Have a good one, everyone.
Well, don't forget to prepare.
Yeah, don't be very. That's right. I love it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.